Awesome. Welcome, guys. We're very excited to be here. We're just streamed in, so it's just a couple of minutes past 7 o'clock in Sydney and around 11 a.m. in Denmark, and I'll let you know what time in Denmark. We're very excited, everyone. We're up to our eighth stream here tonight. So we've run 7 episodes here. And the reason why we're doing all this is to ensure that everyone's engaged at this time and essentially, intact with football. It's a time that we can't get on the football pitch. So we've got a very smiley person at the end too. He's a bit of a superstar out there. So excited to have him. And I'll do a little introduction. Just before we get into it, guys, let us know who's on. If you're a player, you're a coach, you're a parent, you're a fan, supporter, comment in the box because we'd love to know who you are, and then it'll help us with the flow of the actual session. So without too much further ado, we've got Socceroo International, Mustafa Amini here. Mustafa, thanks for joining us from Denmark.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. You look nice and happy there. It's a nice morning start over there.
Yeah, it's all right. It's good. I'm not used to this live stuff, but yeah.
I think we're going to have to get you more and more. For ones that don't know, Mustafa's captain in Denmark over there for his club side, and he's a Socceroo International. He's a Sydney boy, born and bred. We're very excited to have him, a player of his caliber, a current international. And I think he's got a really good journey to share with everyone here. So let us know. He's here, guys. As I said, it's going to be an awesome night. So, look, let's get into it. Musti, as we can call you. Firstly, congratulations on the birth of your daughter. How's fatherhood been?
Yeah, fatherhood's tough. It's not as easy as I thought it would be, but it's beautiful. It's a nice thing, and yeah, it's been great, but it's hard work. Enjoy your sleep while you can, and yeah, it's been tough, but it's always nice.
Wise words. And you're only 20, just turned 27?
Yeah, just turned 27 the other day, so it's a good time, so it's all right.
It's all up here from here, buddy. I think we've seen on your Instagram, you've got this little swing there, so it looks like your little daughter's doing quite well, sleeping, huh?
Yeah, that's a lifesaver. That swing's a lifesaver. It gives me maybe 1-2 hours to myself during the day, so that's quite nice.
Fantastic. Yeah, tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Denmark. I know there's a lot of comments coming here, Mariner supporters in there. So tell us a little bit about your club. We'll get the pronunciation right and everything, but tell us a little bit about your club and maybe a shout out to your Denmark supporters. So yeah, tell us about Denmark and professional football there.
Yeah, Denmark's a beautiful country in Scandinavia, which I really enjoy. And yeah, I play in Aarhus. It's AGF, and it's the second biggest city in Denmark after Copenhagen. And yeah, it's got a great fan base. It's really nice, and it's a good club to play for. And I've been here 4 years now, so I'm really enjoying it.
Fantastic. And in terms of the, you came across, from Germany and what's the standard of play in Denmark at the moment? I know football is quite strong there. How do you find the quality of football in Denmark?
Yeah, I think the quality of football in general in European leagues is good, so Denmark's quite a good standard, and we have a lot of good players, international players here as well, playing in and around the teams and stuff like that. So it's a very physical league, I think. They like to use a lot of more power, but yeah, it's enjoyable and it's tough, and anywhere in Europe's not easy to play. So that's the thing, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's going good.
Fantastic. And in terms of, your professional pathway, you've played at one of the biggest soccer clubs in the world with one of the most renowned football coaches in the world. And I think I wasn't going to shy away from asking you that, but I think you signed on for Borussia Dortmund at the age of 19. I believe, was it 19 or younger?
I was 18, and then I had to go back on loan for 1 year to the Mariners, and then I ended up joining them when I was 19. So
wow. What was, and for the ones who've just joined in, everyone, let us know who's here in the comment box. But we're just about to ask Mustafa what his experience was, going to Dortmund. I know you've been asked this many times, but what was life as a footballer in Dortmund playing with? And let us know maybe some of the players you played with there.
Life as a footballer in Dortmund, it's literally being like a professional footballer, like to the biggest extent, And, when I rocked up to Dortmund, I had my trials and all that, and then I eventually came into the squad and that kind of stuff. And I still remember my trial, there was 5,000 people there. It was an open training session, and they were coming to watch us training, So that's the caliber of the club, 80,000 people at each games and stuff like that. And yeah, it was something special, you know, me being a redhead with an afro, you know, in Dortmund, a lot
Yeah.
of people, you get noticed and that kind of stuff. So, you know, they sort of respect you highly, and, you know, in restaurants, they look after you and that kind of stuff. So it's a really football cultured city, you know, hardworking, and yeah, it's a beautiful time. I had a great time there. You know, we had a lot of good players. I still remember I was in the hotel, and on one of my first days, Neven Subotic, one of the players, he messaged me and said, "Hey, do you want me to come pick you up? We'll go eat dinner." And I was just there going, "All right, no worries." Yeah, he picked me up, and you know,
Yeah.
the restaurant wasn't actually open at the time, so we just went in the back of his car, and he flipped out the TV, and we started playing PlayStation. And I was
What,
just
what
like,
car was what car was Subotic driving?
it was, I don't know what it was. It was just one of those big van type cars. It was really nice, and he just said, "Oh, it's going to be open in 30 minutes. Let's go to the jump to the back." And he just put a big screen down, and we started playing FIFA. So it
Wow.
was quite cool and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a good time. You know, I had a lot of good players
Yeah.
playing with Lewandowski, you know, Aubameyang, Mkhitaryan. You can just name them all, you know, throughout the ranks. And at that time, we made the Champions League final. You know, so that was quite cool. Even though I wasn't in the team really, but I was still part of the trainings and that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed my time there, and yeah, it was great. You know, we had a friendly game in Anfield playing against Liverpool, full stadium, and you know, I came on in the last 25 minutes and played against my idol Steven Gerrard. So
Wow.
that was something special and something to remember. That's for sure.
Wow, that's a story where you could probably hang the boots even at 27 if you were like you've done it all. It's look, it's those names you mentioned, Lewandowski, Aubameyang, Gerard, Mkhitaryan. Kids, let us know if you know these players out there, guys. Comment, Lewandowski. Let us know there. But sort of taken aback a little bit. I listened to your interview with Football New South Wales and what's on, but what were your first influences into football, into soccer? What age did you first start playing for a team, or did you not start playing for a team, or were you sort of just running around in the backyard? But explain us a little bit about your first interaction and engagement with football, soccer.
I think first interaction was maybe when I was about 5 years old, but that was just around the house, and my mum telling us off and telling us, "Hey, stop playing in my house," and that kind of stuff. You're gonna break everything. But yeah, just playing with my brother, playing with the neighbors, and that kind of stuff. And then my father enrolled me into Dundas United under sixes,
Wow.
and then yeah, from there I've never looked back. So it's been quite a journey, but it's been a good journey as well. So it's nice, and yeah, I started at Dundas and went from there.
Well, we had Anthony Caceres, who you might know, the other day, and he talked about his earliest of memories at under six. Do you remember much from under six football?
Yeah, it was just more about Saturday going to football, with the whole family. They had the tape recorder out, there was no iPhones back then and that kind of stuff. And yeah, just playing, having fun and enjoying the game. And then at the end, always going out for a nice lunch, or if I scored, that's what my mum would say. So she would be on the sidelines going, "Musti, if you score, you get this," and stuff like that. So that was quite nice. And yeah, they're all good memories.
Fantastic. And on that topic, when did it start to you feel that, it's getting a little bit serious? I'm in the top Division 1 team at Dundas or Greystanes, and maybe I might make the jump. When did you start to see that age? Where did you see that, I suppose, the ignition for you to go to rep soccer or not, or what was your pathway?
My ignition was probably Mark Crittenton. Like, of course, I did well in the under sixes, and then I moved to Greystanes. Thanks to him, he came to my house and told my mum and dad, "Hey, I want to have your son in my
How old were you
team."
then?
I
How old
think
were
I
you
was
then?
10
Oh,
years
wow.
old.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 years old. So we went there. We went to Greystanes, and then we had a good team. So we had the champions of champions and played all that kind of stuff. And then the trials came for the Blacktown, where you go out trial. There was like 300-400 kids, and then you get a letter after each
Yeah.
trial and that kind of stuff. So that was quite cool and such a interesting time. And yeah, it was just fun. So I never took it real serious. I just was loving the game and had fun with it. So I still remember, just going to training and being happy to see my teammates and having a laugh and, being serious at the same time, but just enjoying it.
Well, you're such a vibrant, infectious person that I want to talk to you. You're making me. I don't smile much. You're making me smile. But it's when you said you went into rep football, 11 and 12, and you said you weren't sort of serious about it. You were more passive about it. But did you have at the back of your mind an expectation to make the under 11 Blacktown or 12 team, or were you concerned much? What were your priorities at that age?
No, of course, I really wanted to make it and that kind of stuff. That was always a priority to be the best, So, I went to under sixes, went through the under 10s, and we always did well and won games and that kind of stuff. So when under 11s came, it was just more, hey, let's go give it a shot. And, I went there, my mum and dad took me, and, every week you get a new letter and saying you've made the next cut. And, at that age, I think it is a little bit nerve-wracking, you're waiting for the letter at the end of the day at home and stuff like that. But yeah, I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to get selected. And then from there, I did really well and played under good coaches there that helped me a lot. So it was nice.
Fantastic. Parents, let us know too. Get some questions in there. We're getting some good questions in here. It can be about the A-League, Europe, development, anything that you have as a parent or the kids can ask on you. The more the merrier, because we are going to pick the best at the end. Now, your next phase, I think you went into, it might have been called the Super League or the Premier Youth League then, I think at Blacktown City. But where did you go then from there, from under 12? What was your pathway eventually to the AIS, Australian Institute of Sport? If you can quickly run us through that one.
So I went to Blacktown at under 11s and stayed there for 4 years. And then I actually got selected in Swiss, it was called back then, New South Wales Institute of Sport. And I was there for 6 months and then got selected into the AIS after Coffs Harbour.
Yeah.
We had a tournament with the state team, and, like I said, under 13s, I didn't make the state team and wasn't selected in the top 150 players, to be fair, And 2 years later, I was captain of the under 15s, and we won the tournament and got selected into the AIS. And yeah, the AIS was something special, and all the elite players around the country and stuff. So the training of the quality was high always, and yeah, it was living in a professional environment and pretty much living away from home. A little step before overseas came.
Yeah, and when you're at this, what were you quite, I suppose, physically too? Now you're not the biggest of guys. What were your size? How tall were you? Tall physically in stature, especially at that age where these days, people, the coaches are looking for the biggest kid at times. How were you in stature? And what sort of player were you? What were your key, if you recall, what were your key skills at those 11, 12, 13 age groups?
It would be funny, to be honest. I was one of the fast ones back then, So
yeah.
I was actually playing striker and number 10 back then. And, when I was under 10, I scored a lot of goals as striker. And then I went to under 11s as a striker, 12s, 13 striker, and then sort of dropped down the ranks, Everyone sort of caught up to me. And yeah, I was at that age, I think I was one of the faster ones, and I think bigger than all the players, and then eventually they all caught up, and now I'm one of the smaller ones.
But how old were you when you made your debut in the A-League for the Mariners?
17.
17. How were you, when you made your debut at 17, still you weren't physically the biggest guys. What was it when you first stepped onto, when was the first time that you stepped onto the pitch at the Mariners? And what was that feeling like as a 17? And how did you find the speed of the game, transitioning from youth to men's football?
I still remember, it was in Brisbane when I got my debut. It was against Brisbane Roar, and, I came on for 20 minutes, and I thought I played 120 minutes. I was dead then. The speed of the game was something else, something I wasn't used to. And, that's just part of becoming a footballer and growing to different areas, and I still remember I came on 20 minutes and I was dead. So yeah, but that's how it is. And, you just got to progress with that. And now I'm doing well, so it's good.
Fantastic. How did the call to Borussia Dortmund come through? You know, what do you remember that moment? How did you get the call? What happened?
Well, I was playing in the A League as a 17-year-old and that kind of stuff. So the hype was around, and the 4-4-2 and all those kind of stuff. And yeah, so my agent got Borussia Dortmund to have a look on Y Scout and those kind of stuff. And yeah, we got asked to come on trial, which was nice. And me and my agent Buddy Farrell, we ended up packing our bags after the grand final in Brisbane Roar, and we went up to Dortmund for 2 weeks. And yeah, we got a lot of stories to tell from there. So it was quite an interesting time, but also a very tough time. But yeah, it was literally a dream come true, and that deal came about.
Yeah, well, and that sort of we talk about the sort of pathway there now. Jurgen Klopp, some of you guys might know the Liverpool coach parents, the guy who ran the cap, the crazy guy. What's your relationship with Jurgen Klopp? Do you still have him on your phone contacts?
I still got his number, but I don't know if he's changed it. But yeah, Jurgen Klopp is something special. When I still remember when I trialed, he just gave me that power to work for him. It was when I saw his squad and how his players worked, and a lot of the teams were like, oh, how they're running so much, how they're pressing so much. But with Jurgen Klopp over you watching, he has this power. I don't know how it is, but if you see the Liverpool team now, with Firmino dropping in and tackling and those kind of stuff, you don't really see that at the big leagues. With the big players, they sort of get let off to do that. But with Liverpool, everyone's working, and you see that, and that's why Dortmund was also so successful at my time, because they were a young squad. The average age was about 23 at that time, and everyone was working for each other. So it was great, and he's actually a funny person to be around. So was the first time I actually met him. I was in the physio room and about to get strapped, and then he came in and he just put a 50 euro note on one of the players' chest, and because he lost the bet, so I didn't understand that time, but they were speaking German, but he lost the bet, and he's just a fun guy to be around. So he's almost like a teammate that you respect, and when he says stuff, you do it. So
that's I suppose that's why he's one of the key leaders in the world. He's a key leading sort of coaches in the world. There's some unbelievable stories. I could probably go on and on about them, but we'll start to get to the questions, everyone. So let us know what question you have for Musti and his journey. One thing that I wanted to sort of ask you is, the standard of stuff. Now, we talk, there's been a lot of comment about, we need to improve from a technical point of view and what's on. What are the biggest differences that you found in Australian and also Borussia Dortmund and also in Aarhus in AGF in Denmark? And look, with all due respect, I get that Dortmund is probably at the pinnacle of there, but what are the key differences? And this is good for the kids and the parents to notice playing. Like, what are the key differences have you seen amongst the level?
Amongst the level, well, when I was at Dortmund, like I rocked up to preseason and then there was no loads and that kind of stuff. It was straight into triple sessions. We're waking up 7 a.m., doing 1,000-meter runs with 1 minute break and that kind of stuff, and training in the afternoon and then the late afternoon. And it was just football. And I don't think I was used to that, and I think in Germany, there's a lot of players. So if you're not ready, the next one's coming along, to take your spot. And it's just a brutal world there. It's the world of football in Europe. And, if you're not there, the next one's there. So that's the tough part. It's not easy. It's very tough, especially for the mental and that kind of thing. I think it's just different. There's a lot of relegation and promotion, and there you're playing for lives, literally. You're playing a game. I still remember, I'm playing in the Champions League. I'm in the squad, and if you win the game, you get a bonus. If you lose the game, you get 0. So it's pretty much people's livelihoods, and that goes throughout all the leagues to probably the 5th league in Germany. And that's where they call it bonuses and premium and that stuff. And I think that just gives the extra drive and incentive for players in that way. So, that relegation, you could be relegated and half your salary get cut. It's people playing for their lives pretty much at that stage.
Different pressure. Yeah, it's a complete different pressure. Have you, I suppose, now you're probably, it sounds like you're a customer. It's something that you want, but how do you, and this is a question here, we could probably sort of touch upon it, but growth mindset, right? Being really positive and what's on. How did you take, you could call it a setback or not, but, going, how did you find the challenge of, you've gone to Borussia Dortmund, you haven't had much playing time, and albeit you did quite well, and look how positive you are, and then going to Denmark. And it's a bit of advice also getting filtered down to, parents and kids who are on, but what is your mentality like? What is your growth mindset approach?
My mentality, like I went to Dortmund as a 19-year-old, didn't expect nothing. From Australia, a young boy, didn't really expect nothing, just having a dream and, going to pursue that. And I think, me sitting on the Champions League bench at that time was more than enough, for me personally. Of course, I went to one of the best schools in Europe. My team, when I was there, it wasn't a bad team. They won the Bundesliga. They made the Champions League final. So it's not that easy to get into the squad. And, if you look at the likes of the players I was competing with, is Ilkay Gundogan, and, he's playing at Man City, and Marco Reus, who's still at Dortmund, and Götze, who ended up scoring the winning goal at the World Cup. So it was quite a tough squad. And, yeah, it was just a nice learning curve, and to be able to train with those players day in, day out was something that you learn. And yeah, there was a time where you had to look at yourself and, go to reality and say, hey, I need to start playing games. And that's when I moved myself to Scandinavia.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been playing ever since for the last 5 years, 36 games each season. So it's been quite good.
What, I'm going to start to throw some questions out here, but, there's one here from John. You could probably see, but are there any mental strategies that you use to, help yourself perform better? Now, you're the captain at AGF, am I correct?
No. I've been captain and not captain. So no. Like
downgrade.
Yeah. No, captain.
But I think that's a massive achievement. I think you and maybe Mile Jedinak were the only captains in Europe. That's a massive achievement. And but this question here: are there any mental strategies that you help to perform yourself better each week?
Mental strategies, just staying positive. I think I know sometimes it's hard to when you play a game and you don't play so well, and you're down and stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it as you're playing football, you're enjoying yourself, you're playing the game you love. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, and just have fun. It's not life or death. So there's other people that are in worse situations. So have fun and enjoy the game, and next week just try to do better. That's how it is.
Even at your level, when you're walking out into you play UEFA Cup, I think, and you're playing at Socceroos, you've got that element. It sounds like you're quite chilled when you're going onto that field.
Yeah, you can say I'm chilled, but I'm also nervous, of course. I'm nervous. The stress is coming and that kind of stuff. You don't want to make mistakes. You don't want to do that. But, you have to just tell yourself at the end of the day, it's a football game. You're having fun. Yes, there's a lot of pressure. The fans, the coaches, you put pressure on yourself within, because you want to be successful. You want to perform. And that's how you go out every game to perform. But, sometimes you might have a bad game. You might have a bad touch and, that kind of stuff. And you just have to live with it. That's part of football. And, you have to take it with a stride. So, like I said, at the end of the day, we're playing football, and now you see at this time of the world, with coronavirus, there's more important things than football. Of course, football is important, but just enjoy it and be happy.
I think parents, if you're listening out there, get a piece of paper out and a pen and write that one down. That optimistic, positive outlook is very important. And this is a professional on the other side of the world, away from family, and just so positive, and I think everyone should take a grain of salt and really sort of take it back and understand that. And I think another question. This is one from the kids. There's many people asking the same thing, so I'll probably just bring it all together and ask. But who are some of the most difficult players you've played against, and some of the best players you play against or played with?
Yeah, there's plenty. When I rocked up to training, I remember I had a 4v4 a day after a game training, and I was training with 5 World Cup winners. So
Wow.
just to see it like that, when Germany won the World Cup, there was
Who were
5
those?
World Cup winners.
Who those 5 World Cup players?
Schmelzer, Eric Doom, Götze, Royce, Mats Hummels. So it was really special. And when I look back on the pictures for training and stuff, they're some of the top quality players that I've played against, at training and stuff. But yeah, I did play against Steven Gerrard, who I thought was very tough.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. So there's been a lot of players, and toughest player to play against. Yeah, it's not an easy one. There's a lot, but yeah, maybe when I was at Dortmund, I played a lot of friendly games and those kind of things. So
yeah,
I think Steven Gerrard was my idol, and he was probably one of my toughest opponents.
Yeah. A cheeky question here from someone: any nutmegs on Hummels?
No nutmegs. No, I'm not a nutmeg player. So.
Another question here. You played for the Socceroos, and I think I watched you played against Korea, I think, or was the
South Korea.
That's Korea. And every time I watch you play, and I think even when Ange gave you a debut, it doesn't matter if you're playing a full match or not, you seem to come across the most passionate player on the field. And I'm saying it very objectively. Guys out there, I don't know Musti too well or anything like that, but what are your aspirations for the Socceroos? And where do you see the Socceroos, especially going into Qatar? There's a bit of criticism here and there, but what is your your view on the team and how you guys are traveling, and just your individual kind of goals for the Socceroos?
Yeah, well, I think the team is progressing. We're a new team. It's a lot of the older players, the leaders, Mile Jedinak, Milligan have left, and some new leaders are coming in, and a lot of young boys like myself. I call myself young, but for a national team, in that kind of space. And yeah, it's a new team, new coach. Graham Arnold's taken over, and as you've seen in the World Cup qualifiers, we've been doing well. We haven't lost, and the Asian Cup was the first step. It wasn't successful, but I think as a team we became closer and more successful. So you could say it was a little setback, but it's going to be better for us in the long run. And the team, personally, I think it's a very strong team. A lot of good players. I know a lot of people give it criticism because when they look at the players, they're saying they're not playing in the top leagues, but football's changed from back in the golden generation. It's not as easy as people think, especially as Australians. I don't think we get so respected around Europe. They pretty much think we're playing Aussie rules and those kind of things. And yeah, I just think that the leagues that we are playing in, whether it be in Austria, whether it be in Holland, wherever, we're still fighting it out in Europe and trying to be the best we can. And when we won over in Jordan, I looked up the history. The Socceroos had never won in Jordan, so that just goes to show. I know a lot of people say the golden generation, but we're coming, and we hope to be the best, and that's how we are. We hope to go to the World Cup and win games, and that's our goal at the end of the day. So we're all striving to be better. So yeah, it's good. And myself personally, I think I have 8 caps and stuff like that. But yeah, I would just, like to be more involved and hopefully get more game time, and that comes with success in club football. And that's just how it is. When you go into the national team, you literally have, I think, 9 days, and you got 2 games, and you play on the weekend, you travel, you rock up to camp, and you got 2 sessions before the game. So there's not much really you can do besides the tactical point, and that's where Arnold is is his job, and that's where he's his main job, and he does that really well, and sets out a game plan, and we go out and try to be successful as possible. So yeah, myself personally, I'd like to play a lot more and become a starter in the Socceroos, and yeah, go to the World Cup and win games.
I think, yeah, and I think, we're definitely going to be vouching for you. And I think you raise a really good point, and maybe provocative or not, the golden generation, the current generation, but I will go there. And I think you made a really good point. We do have good players, yourself, the Aaron Moyes are all ball players, and we've got a lot of good players. Do we have enough of them? That's a whole different sort of ball game and another question. Because as you said, in Europe, it's very cutthroat. The football has accelerated with the amount of players, and it's globalized a lot more than now. So there's players from all walks, of the world. Yeah, I think you had Shinji Kagawa at Dortmund. So you've got players from all part of the world trying to vouch for those 3 visa slots. So it is a bit more difficult now, and in context. So sometimes it's hard to also compare. It now just sort of going back a little bit in terms of coaching and what's going on now from a technical perspective. Some professional players sometimes find it difficult to explain, what are their key skills and, how they sort of, establish their skills. But as a footballer, what would you like to, what would you like to think that people perceive your abilities to be like? Are you a dribbler? What do you think are your key strengths, especially at that professional level when you're playing it so quick? What are you most confident at when you're facing forward and you've got the ball at your feet?
I think myself personally, reading the game, being maybe one step ahead. I'm not the fastest player or that kind of stuff, so it's a bit tough, to beat them with speed and those kind of things. So you have to be almost one step ahead and sort of control the team and help your team out. So that I think that's my best, and playmaking, helping to start the play and playing through balls and stuff. So
how would you because you're not a coach, but how do you build decision-making skills, or how did you build decision-making skills?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I've had a lot of good coaches throughout my career. So I think they helped me a lot. I went to Westfield Sports High School, which was, I think, very beneficial for myself. And yeah, we worked on tactical stuff. They taught us, different formations and those kind of things, and knowing to be at the right time and right place. And also as a footballer, you have your own instinct. So reading the game of, should you go into that tackle, should you not, should you stay in, should you tuck it, those kind of things. And I think that just comes naturally, like playing from football. And yeah, so those kind of things.
Yeah, no, that's it's a difficult one to definitely answer. And I think you sort of mentioned you playing a lot, in the backyard and what's on back in the days. So I think that possibly played a role there too. I'm going to get into a couple of questions, guys. I won't hold all of it. I'm just going to go through and pick up. Did you play any other sports besides soccer?
Yeah, I was actually, when I was back in primary school, I played PWSA. I played cricket and softball, so I was quite a cricketer.
Really? Spin bowler, pace, or batsman?
No, just a batsman.
Nice. Good. Got a multi-talented athlete here. So another question here that we've got. There's a lot here. We've got a bit of an audience. So this one we probably answered, but you might even think of grassroots coaches or not. But coming from Cameron, you can see the screen there, Musti. So you've had so many coaches throughout your life. What do you personally think makes a coach able to inspire their players to achieve their potential and bring the best out of them?
I think every coach has their good and their bad. So and every coach helps you throughout your career. So that's the way it goes. And I don't know if you can hear my baby. She's crying.
We'll finish up very soon.
Just I think every coach has their good and bad. So I've had a lot of coaches that have been done well for me, and a lot of coaches that have also been bad by me, but they've helped me out throughout my career, if you can say, those kind of things. So I think a coach, just having that contact with their player, so, I think Graham Arnold's a very great man manager. He's almost like a father figure to the players. So that's a quite nice thing. And then if you look at Ange, he was a different type of coach. Ange was a lot more distant, but he had his presence when he was on the training pitch, and he made sure you were on your toes. So there's all different types of coaches, and I have my coach here, AGF, who's a very good inspirational speaker. He pumps us up a lot before the game and those kind of things. So they all got their little things that they do, and at the end of the day, that's coaches, and that's how players are as well. Everyone's different, and there's no right or wrong.
Nice. We've got a question here from Denmark from your AGF supporters. Sorry, Australian supporters, we can't ask all the questions, but who is the most underrated player at AGF?
The most underrated?
Yeah, underrated player.
For me, the most underrated player would probably be Bro Bloomer. He's one of the players who plays with us, and the way he plays, he's very good, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. So he helps our team a lot. He scores important goals and gives good assists, and he's just an all-round good player that I think is underrated.
Fantastic. Musti, I'm just going to click one thing because your video stopped. So just give me 1 second, buddy. Sorry, you there, Musti? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just getting your video back on. I think you've got your video off. Maybe you can see from. Oh, there you go. Perfect. And just a couple more questions, because I know what it's like having a little baby daughter in the house screaming while you've got a podcast.
No, it's fine. My missus is taking care of it.
Fantastic. Awesome. This is a really good question from Tokyo, from Tom Bayer. Who was your favourite Socceroo while growing up?
My favourite Socceroo was probably Tim Cahill. I really enjoyed him, and I also got to play with him, which was nice. And just followed him in the Premier League and in the MLS and what he'd done. And he was also a fun guy to be around. So when I rocked up to my first camp, he took me under his wing, you can say, and looked after me, which was nice. And we played FIFA. Sitting in his on the dinner table next to him and those kind of things. So he was really nice and welcoming, and so he was quite good.
Fantastic. Another question we'll move on to, and then after that we'll have one more, guys. So from Melissa, what key pieces of information could you give to kids who dream of a soccer career or being involved in a soccer arena?
Sorry?
What piece of information would you give to young kids who dream of being a professional footballer?
Just if you dream it, enjoy it, and try to go for it. Give it your best shot, and like I said, enjoy the game. And with that, I think if you enjoy the game, you can be even better. The passion for the game is great, and if you have that, then there's nothing stopping you, really. So and if you don't make it, you can always keep pulling.
Fantastic. And as you said, you spend a lot of time in Germany and Denmark. And what can, especially our culture in Australia, this is from just from the basic things, from our ideas and what we think about football, how we take sport. What could we learn from places like, and the question from Frank, from German football culture? From your experiences, and also we can add in Denmark too, because I know football is quite big there. So what do you think we can learn in Australia?
The culture, probably, just live and breathe football in some sort of sense. Europe is the heart of football, and if you see now with the coronavirus, there's nothing on TV. People aren't watching TV anymore because there's no football, and that's the thing. And I think the advice I would say is, we have to sort of get promotion relegation into the game, because people have to feel the pressure of football, and when you come into Europe, I remember my second season I was at AGF, and we had a relegation battle. It was literally, if you lose, you're going to be relegated, and half your salary's cut, your life's changing, everything's changing, and you're going out on that pitch to fight for your club and fight for yourself, pretty much. So I think in the A League, you know, when I was there, I don't know if it's changed, but you know, it's always the little bit of, you know, if you win, lose or draw, it really doesn't matter in some sort of sense. So that's the thing I think should change, you know,
Mm.
where teams should be like be accountable, you know, if you're coming last every year, it's not good enough and things should change, or another team should come up and be promoted and have the chance to be in the top flight sort of thing, you know.
Mm.
That's what I think should come into it. So
Yeah, no, that's cool. Now, last question, we'll finish up before we go. And you know, if you had to write a letter to a, you know, a 12 or a 13-year-old Mustafa Amini, and you had to, you know, pass on some wise words, you know, words of wisdom, what would you tell a 12 to 13-year-old Mustafa Amini, knowing what you know now?
yeah, not to put too much pressure on yourself and just have fun and be happy. So that's the main thing in life, to be happy. And you know, of course, everyone wants to be successful and be the best and be a star and those kind of things and win championship. Yes, that's great and stuff, but you know, at the end of the day, be happy and enjoy life. Enjoy now with family time. It's perfect. You know, a lot of people, you know, hate being locked down and stuff, but hey, we're gonna get through this, and you know, just enjoy this time. And you look back at it and say, wow, we had a great time with whoever you're with. If you're with your friends or family, it's nice. So just stay safe, stay healthy, and just, I guess, enjoy life and be happy.
That's a definitely good way to put it. And we were just talking off air. You're telling me your brother. You're saying your brother was a better footballer than you, and he's only one or 2 years younger than you. Maybe I know you got a lot of your family on here, but say, yeah, tell us a little bit about that one before we go. You're saying he's quite a good footballer, and you thought he was better than you.
Yeah, no, my little brother, he's my best friend. So it's always nice to have him. You know, when I go home, we always hang out together. We play football, so it was always nice. And you know, when he was young, it was the same. I was grabbing up, let's go, come on, go to training and stuff like that. And you know, he's more into the gym stuff now, and he's got a really good body to show for it. So that's quite nice. And you know, I always muck around with him and try to show him my abs, but he just pulls up his shirt and shuts me down pretty much. So he's good, and it's always nice to go home and spend time with him.
Fantastic. Man, you're an absolute buzz to talk to, you know, full of laughter and optimistic. And, you know, we wish you all this success and would love to have you back and maybe in person to talk to the kids. You know, we're really trying to, I suppose, not an academy or whatsoever. We're really trying to empower kids in a football culture. And I think your positivity and your laid backness really reflects Australian culture and something that we need to preserve for many years. So, you know, yeah, for me, you're definitely an icon for the kids out there in Australia. So keep the good work, Musty. Well done. With good luck changing nappies for the next couple of weeks, and
All good.
stay safe, buddy. We'll leave you to it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to give a shout out to Zane, my cousin. You know, it was his 6th birthday the other day, so happy birthday to him.
Awesome. Can you just repeat that? It did sound again. That was for
Zane. I wanted to wish him a happy birthday. You know, I know he's in lockdown for his birthday, but he's the next future star. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Zane. Uncle Musty there. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate your time.
No worries. Take care. See you later.
Bye-bye.